So I was sitting at my bed, and suddenly out of nowhere comes this insight into the true nature of consciousness. And let me start by saying that consciousness is a whole. Okay? Try to wrap your head around that. Okay? Imagine yourself right next to a water well. For whatever reason, you get the sudden urge to walk up to the water well and look down, right? And below you, you see a hole, right? But it's not just pure blackness, you know? The sun's rays are situated in such a way that you can see the interior of the hole, of the well, to a certain extent. But beyond that extent, it's all darkness. The bottom of the well is concealed by darkness, right? But you can see, the first few lines of bricks, descending into the darkness. And, that's kind of like consciousness. I think consciousness is like something that could quite possibly be infinitely deep and infinitely complex. Excuse me, I can't talk because I'm stupid. But yeah, bear with me here. So, with that established, you might be wondering why I make this assertion. Well, let's start by saying, what is consciousness, right? Consciousness, if you think of consciousness not as an emergent quality, as I think most neuroscientists like to think, but as more of a specialized feature of the mind with one purpose, to be aware, right? With that view, it's just a little bit hard to fully understand consciousness. Let's say that this specialized part of your brain called consciousness is like a security guard, right? Sitting comfortably on a swivel chair surrounded by monitors. There's a monitor for your feelings, another monitor for your thoughts, another monitor, for your visual perceptions, another monitor for your auditory perceptions, etc., right? And the security guard, he doesn't do anything. All he does is watch, right? He just watches the monitors and is like, okay, yeah, this is what I do. Could consciousness be that security guard? Does that make sense? It sort of does. Until you dig a little deeper and realize that that security guard, how does he see, right? Doesn't the security guard need consciousness of his own? Doesn't the security guard need a security guard within his mind? And doesn't that security guard within his mind need a security guard within his mind? Doesn't our consciousness need a consciousness of its own, with its own consciousness, with its own consciousness, with its own consciousness? Consciousness within consciousness within consciousness within consciousness. That's where I'm getting at, right? It's like one of those really annoying Russian dolls, right? Only there's no end in sight. You just pick away one layer to reveal another layer, to reveal another layer, another layer, another. It's so annoying, but it's so amazing too. Consciousness is what my programming teacher would like to call recursion. It has recursive qualities. Okay? Another way of demonstrating this. This might be a little out there, and I think it kind of makes sense. But it starts with the question, are you aware? Yeah, I hope so, right? My videos aren't that boring, right? Are you aware that you're aware? Okay, at this point you should be aware that you're aware. I mean, I just pointed out that you're aware, and hopefully you answered yes, right? You affirmed that. But are you aware that you're aware that you're aware? Okay. Maybe. That kind of makes sense. But are you aware that you're aware that you're aware that you're aware? Are you aware that you're 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 aware? Okay, it gets a bit confusing. Okay, you kind of reach a certain point where it's like, my mind just can't comprehend this. It's like darkness, right? It's like, you see, you're able to comprehend to a certain point, right? But beyond that point, it doesn't make sense anymore. Just like consciousness within consciousness within consciousness within consciousness within consciousness is a little hard to understand, right? I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense. It would make sense, maybe it would make sense to an extremely intelligent, self-aware artificial intelligence. But to us, to humans, we can only look to a certain point, right? We can only comprehend the own depth of our consciousness to a certain point, but after that point, it stops making sense, right? So, is it possible for a human to be fully self-aware? You know, is being aware of your own awareness and being aware of or being aware that you are aware that you're aware, is that, excuse me, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm kind of losing focus, but I think I made a solid point right there. You know, consciousness is a whole, okay? Does anyone get me with that statement? Please, please, someone tell me if I'm completely crazy, because I would like to know.